26th. And this is the regular meeting of the Municipal Council for the Corporation of the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal for the month of August. And the second item on the agenda is approval of the agenda, and I'll call on Mayor Deschamps for that motion. Right here,
I think here, Tony.
Come on.
I've almost got it back. Okay, so moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Steve Dillabaugh, that Municipal Council approves the agenda as presented.
Motion on the floor, discussion of any?
Just for me, what's this?
That'll be coming up later on the agenda. It's under, it'll come up under 13.
Is that new as of today?
Yep, as of about 15 minutes ago. So the motion to approve the agenda as presented is carried.
Well, hold on a sec.
Well, anybody can bring up notices of motion under that section of our agenda. Council inquiries or notice of motion.
Okay, well, am I allowed to ask what it is?
It's here. It'll be brought forward then. Okay, so I'm moving on. Item 3 on the agenda is disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Are there any disclosures here this evening?
None by me.
Okay. And item number 4 on the agenda is delegations and presentation. I finally get to welcome our delegation. So we have, I believe it's Paul Whitney and Liz Connell from African
Bronze honey.
African Bronze.
Bronze honey. Yeah.
So want to welcome you to the meeting, and I want to tell you before you start that we're very excited to know that you've purchased the old Presbyterian Church in Cardinal, and we're very excited to hear what you've got to say, what your plans are. So you have the floor.
Great, thank you. Can we come up front?
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
we were sitting back here just in case there was a last minute rush.
Yeah.
And we won't sit in here, but when we come up front.
Stampede here.
I think it's 10 minutes roughly for the presentation and then
Okay.
questions.
Well, I'm going to hand out a few things and Paul's going to get started.
Yes, by all means.
So the story of how we got into this was we lived in Zimbabwe 25 years ago. We had a friend named Dan Ball, a Zambian Canadian. He was born there. His parents were Canadian. And he decided that he wanted to help people in the forest that he grew up in. So while we were there, we were doing business. He was running aid projects. And he came to me one day and he said, "Paul, you're doing business." He said, "This aid stuff, it doesn't work." And he said, "I did missionary work." He said, that's not for me. He said, "I want to do business. I want to help the people in the forest where I grew up do business." So he had all these incredible ideas of how he was going to create businesses. One of them was a ferry boat that would run during the rainy season when it was flooding, and then they would go fishing in the mid-time, and then when it dried, they would dry the fish, and it didn't work. It was crazy stuff. He had a couple of ideas. None of them worked until one day he came. We were just about to head back to Canada, and he said, "I'm going to go beekeeping, and we should start beekeeping. I've got about 24 beekeepers." I said, "Dan, beekeeping? There's no roads, there's no phone. How are you going to start a business in this forest?" "We're going back to Canada." So we came back to Ottawa, and 20 years later, Dan showed up, and we went for coffee. I said, "Dan, how did that beekeeping thing go?" And he said, "Pretty good. I've trained about 6,000 people, and we exported 800 tons of honey last year." That was 5 years ago. And we said, well, maybe we could do some stuff to help you market this honey and value add it, raise the price, and see if we can raise the profile of African honey, because it was considered to be substandard. So today, after 5 years, that honey is now sought all over the world. It's high quality, it's certified organic. It's some of the most delicious and healthiest honey in the world. You'll be able to taste some of it. It's very different than our clover honey, but it is true honey from wild bees, traditional beekeepers who make their hives out of bark and hollow logs, and the honey, the nectar is gathered from trees. Very, very different, and forest honey is the healthiest. So our plans in Cardinal is simply to move the business from Ottawa, which we're in the process of today, moving our CFIA approved, Canadian Food Inspection Agency approved honey packing facility, and we export into the US in significant quantities. We will be moving that to the basement of the church in Cardinal, the Presbyterian Church. We're in the middle of renovating it right now and making it food safe, and keeping a lot of the old, what should we say, the old elements that are there. There's original posts in the basement. We're having it all sandblasted. We're sandblasting the wainscoting. We're just replacing, putting new plaster, and we're insulating. So we're keeping the flavor of that building, but I think that's going to be more of a utility area. It'll be our honey packing and storage and processing. And we're looking at putting a processing kitchen down there that will be CFIA approved. And we've already talked to a couple of residents of the town that are interested in chocolate making. We've talked to Connor Cleary, actually. Connor's already asked if we would pack honey for local beekeepers, which we've agreed we would. And we're looking for other opportunities to have the kitchen used or have the processing used for other processors.
So maybe I'll just add a few things about, you know, where we sell our honey. We sell online, we have a website. We sell to customers across North America, and that's wholesale and retail. We also sell through 2 different distributors in Canada, and they supply organic food stores across, in the Toronto area and across Canada. We also sell bulk honey to a beer company in the US.
The fourth largest craft brewery in America. So.
And they've been, they have a very special beer that they made especially with our honey, that's been going for the last 2 years. We're also in a kind of a Yankee tonic, an apple cider vinegar tonic, sort of a health supplement. We also supply beeswax to some cosmetic companies. I don't know whether Paul mentioned, but we're also a B Corp, a benefit corporation. We have organic certification. We're a member of the Fair Trade Federation, and we're also a B Corp. So a B Corp is to business like fair trade is like to chocolate. We're concerned about what we do for the environment, our supply chain. Everybody has to be treated fairly, and we don't want to, you know, the product to damage anything in the environment. So we've been B Corp for going on 6 years.
And this is our 3rd year of being voted best for the world. So.
Yes, but that's.
Oh, so only 2 officially.
We're not supposed to say that until September.
So, as a benefit corporation, there's a large part of the building that we haven't talked about, and I think it's the most exciting part, but we're going to develop it over time, and that is the main church upstairs and the large grassy area that formerly known, or maybe still is known as a cemetery. We'll have more information about the outdoor area. We've actually been doing a lot of work with some ground penetrating radar, trying to find out what's down there. There is a great deal of confusion about what that is still a cemetery. It still is deemed a cemetery, but it was closed over 100 years
In 1897.
ago. And we believe that every grave has been moved. We can't, at this point, can't find anything in there at all. So we're waiting to get a specialist who will come in and read the data. But off the top, the company told us, I don't think you're looking at anything that what you're looking for isn't there. So we're gonna confirm that later on, but our plan is to have a significant portion of that turned into a permaculture park. That's a broad term for an area that would be public-private use, so it could be, we're looking at maybe putting a small amphitheater in there, trees that are planted, fruit trees, things that are sustainable. Obviously, it would be some organic, we wouldn't be using pesticides. It would be a place, I think, for kids to come and look at what is permaculture? How do you have things that help other plants grow and complementary to each other? So it's a bit of it would be a model park, very beautiful, but it would be also producing goods for sale. We might produce herbs that we might flavor into honey or honey products, that kind of thing. So it's vague at this point, but it's, I think it's an exciting idea, and that nobody else got one around. It's the first one in Cardinal, that's for sure. And I think I think that we've got horticulturalists and people, my nephew actually just came back from Costa Rica and training down there, so he's looking at giving us some advice. So one of the things we want to do is talk to the community about that and say, what is the interest of having that as a park? Is there any use? I think we also want to do the same thing with the church upstairs. It's a large, beautiful hall. It's a great meeting hall. It could be a reception hall. It could be still used for weddings. It could be used for functions, meetings, etc. So I think we're looking at not filling it up with a bunch of stuff. I think we're still looking at as more of a public space, at least in the short term. We want to renovate it in the sense that it would be restored. I don't think we want to make any changes inside. It's beautiful.
We're not planning on putting any pews in there.
No, we're not planning to put pews in.
Right.
The same with the exterior. It's got a slate roof. The brick is in great shape. We're going to bring somebody in to restore the slate. We found the bell in Prince Edward Island. I think he's lost most of his hearing from ringing the bell every day, and he potentially wants to get rid of it, so we may bring back the original
Wow,
bell.
that's cool.
And we found,
Potentially, yeah. I found the large stained glass window
Yeah.
from the front.
yeah, and
Which,
so we're pretty sure that one is coming back with the big World War I and World War II dedication.
yeah.
So we're getting that one back, and there's one more that we're probably gonna negotiate on that will go in the bell tower. The rest, I don't know, they're gonna put it somewhere. So it's gonna look terrific, and actually Liz came up with a fantastic idea. We're gonna restore the windows as they are with thermopane glass, and
So one of the things that we do with the beeswax is we take African fabric and we infuse the fabric with beeswax, and it's used as a wrap for food. But I thought it would look great on the windows because the African designs and the wax through the fabric. So we're looking at making kind of shutters for the windows so that it'll look like stained glass, but we can change the design.
the other thing is we're working with one of the members of the church who has a history degree, and we are looking for funding right now to start amassing the history of that property. It's pretty stunning. I don't know if anybody knows this, but U-505 German submarine was tied up in the Duluth Canal just below the church in 1955. It was, the Americans captured it. It's an incredible story. But there was a German submarine in that canal. I'll tell you later when you've got time for the rest of the story, but there's a marvelous history about Hugh Monroe, the founder of Cardinal, was buried in that churchyard. So it's got a really neat story, and there's beautiful pictures of the old church. When the spire caught fire in turn of the century. There's actually a nighttime picture of it on fire, of it standing one day, it on fire, and then the next day gone and in ashes. So we're looking at putting some of the history together and talking to the community. We feel there's a number of people that have incredible stories. The history there is remarkable. So I think it's something we want to tie into the building. We're not sure how that's done yet, but history is a huge tourism draw, and that's certainly we want to draw people that in the activities we're doing. One of the things that we would put is a small store where we would sell honey and other products. So I think we're on the beginning of a big adventure.
Well, you kind of blow me away here with your plans, quite excited about it. I'm just wondering how we can help you sort of get the word out into the community. Or are you prepared? Well, you're appearing at a public meeting, so it's public, but we don't have press here. But would you be prepared to work with one of the people in our economic development department to prepare some sort of a story that we can insert in the papers and circulate on social media?
No question.
That's what we would like to do.
Very supportive of that.
Yeah, we'd like to get the word around the village as quickly as possible. I think your plans are going to be a real shot in the arm for the village. And that's why I'm so excited to hear that you followed through with the plans to purchase. Also very excited about what you've learned from your underground radar, because it turns out that there's a lot of old wives' tales around, or
Indeed.
What's the word we used to use rather than old wives' tale? I guess it was called
Hearsay.
hearsay. I'll just open the floor up for other members of council that may have questions, if they could. Councillor Cameron.
Yes, when you get going, so to speak, or in business, more or less, are you looking for a workforce? Or is that going to be handled in-house?
No, there is definitely potential for employment. We just don't know at what point we'll get there.
Of course.
The focus, though, one thing that we're definitely going to do, we're going very much for an online business. So we want to have our fulfillment and packing and everything done there. So that's all local employment, 100%. So the only thing that we're trying to find is someone with extensive experience in running the online portion. But I think we'll find somebody certainly in the Ottawa Valley, maybe even locally. It's not, there are many complementary businesses that use that technology, so we just haven't started looking, but that's going to be our focus there. We're going to start packing honey right away. I think we will probably look for somebody in logistics that can help us move, because we're now bringing in honey from Tanzania and beeswax, so we need somebody just to handle it. I've been doing it, we've now figured out how to do all of this. Now we just need somebody that's skilled in logistics. And then everything else as we go down the road.
And you've just answered my second question that I had, that where does the honey come from? So you've just answered that.
Well, it comes from Zambia, but we're branching out into other countries, Tanzania for one. There's also potential
Brazil.
Brazil's
happening, we're just waiting for
Rwanda.
permits. Rwanda mountain gorilla honey,
Costa Rica.
produced where the mountain gorillas live.
Yes.
Yeah,
Costa Rica, we're going back, especially in February.
yeah. And they have some very, very good honey there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Councillor Dilba.
Paul, is it hard importing the honey?
It's
Going through-
complicated, but
Going
we've
through
been
customs
doing
and
it
so on.
enough, and we have great partners on the other side. So it's a combination of having I've known Dan for 30 years. We don't even have a contract. We did, but we don't anymore. So it's a big trust thing, and we know everyone. So that's what makes it work. I think because we're also a B Corp, and we're certified organic, and we have a Canadian Food Inspection Agency facility license, those are big factors, because the federal government looks at in the US looks at it, okay, good.
You
Do
just
you
have to be
import
patient.
yourself?
Yeah.
You import this yourself, go to the bridge or whatever,
Yeah.
customs?
Yeah, or it comes Montreal port,
Yeah,
some
yeah.
of it comes across the
You
bridge,
pick it
yeah.
up. Local, is there any plans of big stores like Sobeys, Yig?
So here's, in a nutshell, what we're gonna do is
Do you care?
we're focusing on hard honey, meaning we're gonna make candies probably out of it. So we will be, when we get that packaging and everything finished, we're definitely taking that out to one of the very large convenience store chains and one of the drug chains. So absolutely. I doubt we will go liquid honey in the retail side, it's just not profitable.
It's kind of a vanity project
Yeah.
in a way.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
it looks great to have it up there on shelves, but
Mhm.
the value for all the work.
It's not profitable, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I see.
it's very difficult.
Your margin is very, very small.
Very, very, very
Yeah.
small.
That's what I thought.
And they ask you for money, simply
All the time,
to,
yeah.
you wanna put it on the shelf, you rent shelf space from them, it's a
Mhm.
very, very difficult business to be in.
Thank you.
You on this side of the table?
Yeah, more just a compliment than anything else, a great presentation. Having lived just around the corner of there, from there most of my life, I'm quite happy to see that there's going to be a good refurbishing of the building, and can't tell you how excited I am to welcome you to the community and wish you well.
That's great, thanks.
So, you're selling this in Canada now, I take it?
Yeah.
Are you sticking mainly to specialty stores that you're putting it in, or?
We were in Whole Foods, we're in the Whole Food stores, and we're in natural food stores, but I think what we'd like to go is to online, because it is where everyone is going, and the bricks and mortar stores are struggling, so for us, online just makes sense, it's where retail is going
Do
going,
you
we'll,
have any sales in Toronto now?
yeah, we've got
We're
a distributors,
probably
we've got a North
60,
American
60,
distributor.
70 stores in
Or,
Toronto.
sorry, Canadian distributor.
You're
that
just
sells
selling it
there.
online in Toronto, though, you haven't got it in stores in
No,
Toronto?
no, we're in about 60 or 70 stores in Toronto.
Oh, you're in some?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What kind of volumes, weight-wise, do you bring from Africa?
so everything from about 1 ton, we were just talking about Costa Rica, they're very small producers, but amazing honey, so we're looking at maybe bringing, 500, but probably a ton, 1,000 kgs, up to a 20-foot container, which is about 16, 17 tons.
Ooh.
So, yeah, and that's what we're trying to bring, another container right now.
Those are the jars.
That's, in fact, we've talked to Ingredion, asked them if they would be able to handle containers for us, because they simply have the facility, so they've said, yeah, that's probably gonna work. So we're hoping to work with them on some other ideas that we can't discuss. They've been actually gave us really good reception, we've had meetings with them, so we're hoping to actually be doing some business with them.
And just one final question, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, so they have your existing processing facility in Ottawa licensed or somehow
Yep.
certified?
Yep.
So will they now have to come and certify the new location?
That's a great question. We were just we brought some honey and we were having it inspected today, and I talked to our officer, and she said that with the new system, we're probably, that we will just transfer the license, because we know what the facility has to be. And that's how we're renovating it right now, in order to meet their requirements. So she said probably we won't be re-inspected until
I think our
another,
inspection month is December,
next one
isn't
comes
it?
up, and
December or January.
yeah. So we will just we're already in the process of transferring it across. We hope that we will be at least back packing in about under 2 weeks.
Under 2 weeks?
Yeah,
Oh, I
as
see.
soon as we can get renovations finished, we'll be starting.
Okay, well, is there any final questions here before I thank Paul and Liz for their presentation, but most of all for their investment in the community and your confidence in the community, and we appreciate that. So glad that you were able to find us. Don't know how you did, and maybe that would be a question, if you don't mind me asking. How did you find us?
Well, We were driving around one day. We live in Pelton's Corners, but we know the area. We're both lived in the area when we were younger. My parents lived in Spencerville, and Paul's family's from.
My great
Prescott.
grandfather was in the Fenian Raids, so fought at the Battle of the Windmill. So we go back a long way here. My family does.
Your last name is Whitney?
Whitney, yeah.
Now, were you related to Dar Whitney?
Dar's in,
He's in Prescott. Oh, he
no,
was.
no, there are two Whitneys.
Okay.
So, there are two
And
Whitneys
there are
not
two
related to Dar.
Connells, too.
and two
Yeah,
Connells.
we found that out.
Or whether two
Yeah,
Connells.
no.
And isn't it a coincidence? One of the schools I went to was Whitney School in Toronto.
In Toronto? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother was superintendent of Algonquin Park for a while, and he had to live in Whitney.
Well, as I say, we're very excited about your investment in the community, your interest in the community, and we would like to share your story. And I think in the next little while, one of the staff members will be getting in touch with you to kind of develop some sort of a press package or a press release that we can get out into the public as quickly as possible. So,
We just wanted to say thank you for the open arms. So
Yeah.
you're very welcoming, and it's made all the difference in our decision to come here.
Especially bringing us coffee and tin bits that early Saturday night. Thank you for that, Mr. Mayor.
well, you're quite welcome. Well, once again, thank you, and you're welcome to stay for the remainder of the meeting. It's better than dinner and a movie. And we'll be here till probably.
No, I
around-
don't think it's better than dinner and everything.
We actually haven't had dinner.
Yeah.
Good effort.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you. We'll see you there.
Yes,
You bet.
absolutely. All right, I'm moving on then with item number 5 on the agenda, which is approval of minutes of previous council meetings. And 5A is the special meeting of July 22nd, Councillor Hunter.
Moved by myself, seconded by Steve Dildahl. Councilor Dildahl, the municipal council receives and approves the minutes of a special meeting dated July 22nd, 2019.
Thank you very much. Questions, if any? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried, thank you. And 5B, the regular meeting of July 22nd, Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you very much. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Hunter that the municipal council receives and approves the minutes of the regular meeting dated July 22nd, 2019.
Thank you very much. Are there any errors or omissions? Hearing none, about to call the question. Those in favor? Motion is carried, thank you. And we'll deal with business arising at the next item on the agenda. And item number 5C is the tri-municipal meeting held on July the 30th. Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Steve Dillabaugh, that municipal council receives the minutes of the tri-municipal meeting dated July 30th, 2019.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, those in favor? Motion is carried. And moving to 5D, the special meeting of August the 6th, Councillor Dillabaugh.
Moved by myself and seconded by Council Cameron that the municipality council receives and approves the minutes of a special meeting dated August 6, 2019.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify. Motion is carried. So now, we're at item number 6 on the agenda, which is business arising from any of those previous meetings. Does anyone have anything to bring up for further discussion, questions, answers? Hearing none. Then I'm about to move on. Just give me 1 second, please. And I'm now at item 7 on the agenda. And item 7 on the agenda is committee meetings, committee minutes, rather. And the first is the Port Management Committee, Councillor Hunter.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Dilbaugh. The municipal council received the minutes of the court management committee meeting dated July 17, 2019.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried. And the Community Development Committee meeting, Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Steve Dillabaugh, that municipal council receives and approves the minutes of the Community Development Committee meeting dated August 6th, 2019.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried. And the Committee of the Whole meeting, Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you. It's moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hunter, that municipal council receives and approves the minutes of the Committee of the Whole, Administration and Finance, Public Works, Environmental Services and Facilities meeting dated August 12, 2019.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried, and I am going to bring forward one issue, or one item from those minutes, and I'll refer you to page 5 of 9. And this is the minutes of a committee meeting. And on item, on page 5 of 9, there was discussion and a motion which was defeated regarding the purchase of a property that was held, or that is held by Ingredient. Just for the information of council, I will be putting that same issue on the agenda of the Admin Finance Committee meeting with a different twist to it, and we'll be dealing with it again at that period of time. I'm moving on to item 8 on the agenda.
Councillor, Mayor, there's one correction I forgot to mention on that report under inquiry notice of motion. The first one there said I inquired about replacing a damaged section of road rail. I believe that was Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
I read that too,
So
I couldn't remember exactly whether it was me or you.
Oh, so you're asking for a change, correction to the minutes?
Yeah.
What page is that?
Okay, so now I'm in an awkward.
Page 7.
Yes, I'm in an awkward spot. The minutes have been approved as presented, and the vote has been taken. Can I have the indulgence of staff to make a correction in those minutes after the fact?
It's a clerical.
It's clerical.
It's a clerical correction? All right, so the reference to Councillor Hunter will be changed to Deputy Mayor Deschamps, is that the issue?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Just ask one question of you. I thought you voted for me.
Okay, so now I'm moving on, where am I here? I'm moving on to item 8 on the agenda. And item 8 on the agenda is the action and information items coming forward from the committees. 8A, an application for severance, Dobie. Councillor Dillabaugh.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Cameron that the Municipality Council recommends in favor of severance B42-19, B43-19, and B44-19, Dobie with the following conditions. Rezone number 1, a rezoning is granted on the retained parcel of severance B42-19 to reduce the required yard setback to 0 meters. And number 2, a rezoning is granted to severance parcel for severance B43-19 to reduce the required yard setbacks to 0 meters and to prohibit any future non-agricultural development on that lot. And number 3, a rezoning is granted on retained parcel for severance B-44-19 to prohibit any future non-agricultural development on the lot, as recommended by the Community Development Committee.
Thank you very much. Members, the motion is on the floor. Lots of discussion at the committee level. Any further questions? Hearing no discussion, I'm about to call the question. Those in favor, please signify. Motion is carried. Thank you. And I'm now on 8B, cyber liability insurance coverage. Counselor Cameron.
Yes, once again, thank you. It's moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hunter, that municipal council purchase a cyber insurance policy through the broker of record, BFL Canada, effective September 1st, 2019, as recommended by Committee of the Whole, Administration and Finance, Public Works, Environmental Services, and Facilities.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, those in favor? I just make a comment that at the AMO conference, attended a session on cyber risk. And let me put it this way, this policy will be effective September the 1st, and since I attended that session, I've been crossing my fingers and toes that we don't get an attack. I was just shocked by what the potential ramifications are, and I guess I wanted to say thank you to the staff for being proactive on this and realizing the risk and getting this policy in place so quickly. Thank you very much. So now I'm on item, where am I here? Item 8C, which is service delivery review. Councillor Hunter.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Dilba. The municipal council directs that, one, the service delivery review project be awarded to WSCS Consulting Incorporated at the quoted price of $61,421 plus HST, and two, 10% contingency be established to cover unforeseen and extra in-house costs for the project, and three, the full cost of the project be covered from the Ontario Modernization Fund as recommended by Committee of the Whole, Administration and Finance, Public Works, Environmental Service, and Facilities.
Yes, that's true. Thank you very much, Councillor. Now, discussion, if any, on the motion? Hearing none, I'm about to call the question. Those in favor?
Recorded if you would, please.
Recorded vote requested by Deputy Mayor Deschamps. And I'm about to call the roll. Councillor Cameron, how do you vote?
Yay.
Councillor Dillabaugh, how do you vote?
Yay.
Councillor Hunter, how do you vote?
Yay.
Deputy Mayor Deschamps, how do you vote?
Nay.
And the mayor votes yea in favor. Motion is carried 4-1. Thank you very much. And so now I'm at item 8D, which is the water service to the vacant lot on Dundas Street. Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Dillabaugh that municipal council supports that the cost to provide water service to Park Lot 290, Plan 25, Dundas Street, be funded partly from the sale of the property and the remainder from the Cardinal Water operating budget, as recommended by the Committee of the Whole, Administration, Finance, Public Works, Environmental Services, and Facilities.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any.
Just
Deputy Mayor.
Just quickly, again, agreeing with the profit or the amount that was above the ask for the sale, but disagreeing with using taxpayer dollars to donate on behalf of township residents to charity.
Okay. So noted. Minutes will note. Any further discussion? Hearing none, about to call the question.
Record it again, please.
Record it again. Okay, so Councillor Cameron, how do you vote?
Yay.
Councillor Dillabaugh?
Yay.
Councillor Hunter?
Nay.
Nay. Deputy Mayor Deschamps?
Nay.
And the mayor votes in favor. Motion is carried 3-2. Thank you very much. And so now I'm on 8E, Enbridge Pipelines, third-party request to use unopened road allowance. Councillor Dillabaugh.
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Cameron that the municipality council approves the use of agreement with Enbridge Pipelines and authorize staff to execute the agreement as recommended by the community of the whole administration, finance, public works, and environmental service and facilities.
Now, before I call the question on this motion, I'm gonna ask a question of staff because I have a bit of problem with the wording on the motion. I apologize to the staff, I just didn't find the time to make the phone call today. But the first line, approve the use agreement with Enbridge Pipeline, should there not be some reference to the unopened road allowance use agreement? Okay. Can I, with the approval of the mover and the seconder, I'd like to insert those few words in front of the word use. Approve the unopened road allowance use agreement with Enbridge Pipelines and authorize staff to execute the agreement as recommended, etc. If there's no problem, I'm gonna mark that as a friendly amendment and initial it as such.
No problem by me, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
I'm good.
Thank you. And any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'm about to call the question. Those in favor? Motion is carried. And just along that line, when we were at the AMO conference, Councillor Cameron, Councillor Hunter and I had some long discussions with the people from Enbridge Pipelines. And so the purpose of this agreement is to give them access to their main line, which is somewhat north of Browseville Road, about halfway between County Road 44 and I think it's Winans Road. And they'll be excavating the pipe to do an integrity dig. So we've arranged, if council is interested, for a site visit to the integrity dig. If anybody is interested, they are gonna give us a heads up when the time is right to come and see what it is they're checking. I might add that they use a very sophisticated piece of equipment to travel down the pipe, inside the pipe, that's capable of finding marks both inside and outside. And it's that piece of equipment that has identified some sort of a, how did he describe it?
Mark.
Some sort of a mark that they're about to excavate and check out. All right, so now I'm on item F, 8F, which is a new moisture meter report. Councillor Cameron.
Yes. I just have to find it, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
It's in front of you, 8F.
Yes, I know, but I don't have the, sorry. I have it right here. Thank you. It's moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Dillabaugh, that municipal council approves the $10,000 budgeted for a new protein analyzer in the 2019 port capital budget to be utilized for the purchase of a new moisture meter, and 2, authorize staff to proceed with the purchase of the new moisture meter once approved by council, as recommended by the Port Management Committee.
Thank you very much. So this is a change to the capital budget, requires council approval. Discussion, if any? Good discussion at the port meeting. Those in favor of the motion, please signify.
Aye.
Motion is carried. And 8G, also coming forward from a port meeting, Councillor Hunter.
Moved by myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps. That municipal council, 1, awards the new grain bin annex expansion project number 300-068 to Earl Hoist Systems Limited in the amount of $2,356,969, excluding HST, plus a 5% contingency. And 2, directs the Port General Manager to send a letter of intent to Rural Hoist Systems Limited requesting that they order the grain bin materials prior to the signing date of the contribution agreement, and 3, authorizes the Port General Manager to sign the contract with Rural Hoist Systems Limited on behalf of the township only after the contribution agreement is signed, as recommended by the Port Management Committee.
Thank you very much. Again, good discussion at the Port Management Committee. Further discussion, if any? Hearing none, I'm about to call the question. Those in favor, please signify. Motion is carried. Thank you. And now I'm moving then to item number 9 on the agenda, which is the correspondence. Councillor-
8H, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, I missed H, my apologies. 8H, Port Consent Alterations. Councillor Dillabaugh, thank you very much.
Moved by myself and seconded by Council Cameron that the Municipality Council approves the request and demolition and construction of the new building owned by Nancy and Brent Thie, located at 3205 Windmill Road in Johnstown and identified as lease P-29 as recommended by the Port Management Committee.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Right, now I'm on item number 9, which is correspondence, and Councillor Hunter, I believe you have that motion.
Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that the Municipal Council receives the correspondence listings for the following dates as previously circulated: July 25th, 2019, August 1st, 2019, August 8th, 2019, August 15th, 2019, August 22nd, 2019.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify. I think I got everybody's hands. The motion is carried. Thank you. Now, item number 10 on the agenda is approval of the municipal disbursement sheet. And Deputy Mayor Deschamps, I believe you have that motion.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Steve Dillabaugh, that municipal council approves payment of municipal invoices circulated and dated as follows. Report dated July 30th, 2019, also known as 2019-00111 for $1,333.04. Report dated July 30th, 2019, 2019-00112, $5,460.10. Dated July the 30th, 2019, 2019-00113 for $77,423.67.
Can I stop you there? Did you say it was badge number 00113?
I believe I did.
And what was the amount?
77423.67.
Okay, now, mine.
Mine too.
Oh, but there are two. Well, there's a page
Okay.
1 and a page 2. Okay, I've got you, finally, sorry. So that's that one. Okay, go on, please, yeah.
Report dated July 30th, 2019, 2019-00114 for $98,161.79.
98. Two pages again, yeah, go ahead.
July 30th, 2019, 2019-00115 for $215,772.15. Good.
Yeah.
August 22nd, 2019, 2019-00150, the amount of $730,872.59.
Pardon me. What was the amount, 730?
7:30.
730,872.59.
Page 13, yeah.
August 22nd, 2019, 2019-00151, $89,231.32. Good. Yep. August 22nd, 2019, 2019-00152, $207,516.94, for a total of $1,425,771.60.
Okay, so then there's a number of prepaids that are referenced on the disbursement sheets with the same numbers as, the same batch numbers. So just looking at the staff for clarification here. I show at least 4 missing from the disbursement sheet.
I'm not sure what you mean, missing.
Hmm?
I'm not sure what you're asking when you say missing.
Okay, so if I can just go back then. So the first 2 that the deputy mayor read out, I'm just gonna go to the batch numbers. The first one was batch 00111,
Correct,
which was 13304.
correct.
And then the next one was batch number 00112, which was 546010, which I've got that one. And then there was the next one, which was 00113 for 77,42367,
Right,
which I have that one, but I also have, under the same batch number, 00113, I have 61,626.98, and it's mentioned bank code ETF electronic funds transfer.
okay, so for clarification, in those, some of those batches, it's 2 pages that make, there's a subtotal, and then the total that the deputy mayor had suggested on the batch is the total of the 2 types of payments, one's EFT and one's PADs.
Okay, so
And
that,
that's-
so there's basically 2 pages,
To
and the
one
first
batch.
page is a sub.
Right,
Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate the clarification,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
just the way the system prints out the specific payment types.
Okay, so the motion as put forward by Deputy Mayor is on the table. Any questions, if any?
Yes.
Go ahead.
On page 2,
Now give us
Of
the
which
reference,
one?
batch
yes,
number.
00112. We have service equipment, Public Works Repairs T5 for $1,700.
No, sorry, you said 00112.
Yes. Right here.
And what was the reference again?
Service.
Oh, service equipment, yeah.
Service equipment. The question that I have is that also on another page, page 2, and just bear with me. There's also service equipment, and that's on batch 150, and it's page 2. Again, it's service equipment, and it says Public Works, just number 5. Is that the same vehicle?
Yes, it's just how she's entered it, it's number 5 or truck 5, yes.
Okay, so we've got 2855 on one work order and 170838 on another, which is a considerable amount of money. Do you happen to know offhand what those repairs were?
I don't, but I can refer to the operations manager, maybe he does.
Through the chair, I don't know what those exact repairs were. I would have to review that invoice again.
Okay, Mr. Director, I would like to know what those repairs are, if you could notify me on that, please. And I have another one on page 2 again of 00112, Sport Vision, and it's classified as clothing for almost $1,500. Could you give me some information on that?
Without knowing specifics, but I believe it's a recreational department purchase. And they annually buy like logo clothing and stuff for staff,
For the, if I may.
for the public, for the students.
Yeah, if I may, for the lifeguards, I believe. Lifeguards get T-shirts and, you know.
Yeah,
those
okay.
types of-
Okay, that's all I have at the moment, Mr. Mayor.
Are there any other questions, Deputy Mayor
Yeah,
Deschamps?
just one, on 150,
150.
and maybe this is just something that I missed before or don't remember it, but the Koval Electric for the Spencerville ring came out of 398184.
What page are you on?
It's page 3 of.
Koval Electric?
Yeah, 00150. You know what that was for?
Yeah, it was the electrical work required for the children.
Oh, for the chiller, so it's part of that
Yeah.
chiller, right, so, okay, perfect, thank you.
Chiller installation. Okay,
I have one, Mr. Mayor.
okay, go ahead.
Batch 219, bat 00150, Carefree Pools, Corner Step Cardinal Pool, 15,820. Thought that came in, Mr. Spencer said 12,000 at the meeting that we had here, 12,000 something, 12,500, no?
I don't think so. I believe it was budgeted
Budget.
at 17,000 and we were pretty
Yeah.
happy to get it for less.
Yeah, I realized that, and I thought it was a lot less, that he came in at 15,820.
I'd have to check. I'd have to go back.
Yeah, okay. Could you do that for me, please? Thank you.
A question, I have a question on the very same item, Carefree Pools. We agreed that the price of this.
Through the chair.
Oh, I'm sorry, through the chair. We agreed that the price of this would be taken out of the Rideau St. Lawrence Fund, which was estimated at 17.5. Now, are we only taking 15,820 out of that fund?
Through the chair, actually be less than 1520. 1520 is the all-in tax, so we do get a rebate on a portion of the tax. So just over 14.
Maybe that's where I'm getting that 1582 with the
Yeah.
HST,
Or-
I'll bet you.
It's before, it's after each.
13%, eh?
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, are there any additional questions, Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, one more, sorry. It's on 150, page 4, fire truck repairs, fire fix,
Fire fix.
1661, what truck and what exactly was fixed?
Through the chair, I'll have to actually look at the invoice. Without looking at the invoice, I wouldn't know which truck specifically.
Thank
But we
you.
could certainly get the details to you.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, it's perhaps better information flow if the questions could be asked ahead so that we can have, still ask them at the table, but if you can just give the treasurer a call through the day and we'll make sure we have the answers for you when we get to the table.
I've already had to apologize once, I'm just too busy today to call, and my apologies for that, but I know what happens, but I understand totally what you're saying.
I will certainly correct
Thank you.
to do that.
Okay, if there are no further questions, I'm about to call the question on the disbursement sheets. Those in favor, please signify.
Aye.
Motion is carried, thank you. Now, did I get the motion from the Deputy Mayor? Did you actually pass me the motion?
Yeah, treasurer,
All I have to do is look at it.
all you gotta do is look at it.
Yeah. Okay, so that's done. And now I'm at item number 11 on the agenda, which is various bylaws coming forward this evening. Bylaw 11A, Site Plan Control Agreement Amendment. Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to authorize the execution of a site plan control agreement with 2643868 Ontario Incorporated, MSGD Petroleum, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Okay, I think this has been discussed at one of the committee meetings, I think it's CDC. Are there any other questions coming forward with this site control agreement amendment? Hearing none, I'm about to call the question on first and second reading. Those in favor? Okay, it's carried unanimously and it can proceed to third reading.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, that a bylaw to authorize the execution of a site plan control agreement with 3868 Ontario Incorporated, MSGD Petroleum, be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2019-47.
Thank you very much. Third reading, discussion, hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And so the 730 truck stop has their site plan agreement amendment. And I talked to Major Dillon and he's very happy about that. So next is 11B, the credit card policy. Councillor Hunter.
Moved by myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to adopt a credit card policy. This shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
First and second reading, discussion if any.
Just,
Go ahead.
I just have one, and it's just clarity is what I'm looking for. And it's under general guidelines, which is on Schedule A. And it's the general guidelines, second bullet point, and it says the liability for charges on a credit card rests with the cardholder's department. So it doesn't, the liability doesn't fall back onto the cardholder.
That's correct.
So, and I think it's covered nicely in the following employee acknowledgement. I think it's covered there. I just wondered if anyone else had picked up on that.
Well, I guess my response would be that in any discrepancy or problems with credit card use, the responsibility ultimately falls back to the corporation. Ultimately falls back to the corporation.
So I think
Now, we do have sufficient checks and balances in place through our departmental structure and through our treasury department to pick up on, I'm gonna say, problems, if any arise, through those two series of checks and balances, which would take the ultimate responsibility, or at least the primary responsibility, back to the card holder. If I've got that correct, I'd like to be corrected by staff if I've got it wrong.
Well, you're quite correct, Mr. Mayor. I think this is just intends to indicate that if the, for example, not that this ever happens, but for example, if I were to offer the admin credit card to a recreation staff employee to go and buy something needed for recreation, that liability comes back to the admin department, not the recreation. It's to discourage.
Oh, cross-use of
Yeah.
credit cards.
Yeah.
I see the purpose of it. Thank you very much. That is a good explanation, thank you.
I'm happy, thank you.
Okay, any other questions with regard to the policy? If not, I'm about to call the question on first and second reading. Those in favor of first and second reading? It receives unanimous approval and can proceed to third reading.
Moved by myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that a bylaw to adopt a credit card policy be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2019-48.
Thank you very much. Voting on third reading, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried, thank you. And now I'm at item 11C, which is the port site license third amendment agreement, Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Sure. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to authorize a site license third amendment agreement with ExploreNet Communications Incorporated at the Port of Johnstown. And this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Okay, discussion if any? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous approval, that may proceed to third reading.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, that a bylaw to authorize a site license third amendment agreement with ExploreNet Communications Incorporated at the Port of Johnstown be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2019-49.
Thank you very much. Discussion if any? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried, thank you. That ends the bylaws for this evening. I'm on item number 12, which is the CAO's administrative update. I think what I'd like to do, I'll have Councillor Dillabaugh put the motion on the table, and then I'll hold the motion until after the CAO presents the report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, second by Councilor Cameron, that the Municipality Council receive the CAO's administration report as presented.
Thank you very much. So the CAO's administrative update to council is presented. I think what I'm gonna do is, everybody's had an opportunity to read the report. I'm gonna ask if there are any questions first, and I'll go around the table once. And then if we miss asking anything that the CAO feels that we should have highlighted, she'll have an opportunity to highlight anything that she thinks should be brought to our attention. So, starting with Councillor Hunter.
None right now.
Okay, and Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Oh, I'm good.
And Councillor Cameron.
Just one under the building/bylaw regarding an open house and information session in October. No date, no firm date on that as yet.
No.
Thank you.
And Councillor Dillabaugh.
I'm good, sir, thank you.
Okay, so I have a request, and it's because I've just got a text message about 10 minutes ago from the principal of the school. And the principal of the school asked me, when are the signs going up?
Which school, Mr. Mayor?
The Spencerville School. So I noticed that we have under economic development, the Main Street signage project is ongoing. Locate requests are in process for many of the larger signs, which will require substantial systems. Street name signs will be installed by the contractor shortly. Can we give the principal an answer?
I really would like to be able to do that. So if I could just, this one has been a little bit of a cat herding exercise. There were actually, you may have heard reports of senior managers out there with spray cans last week marking locates for signs, various places around the municipality. So we're trying to push that forward a little bit. Our part of the project is to get the locates and get the posts in the ground, and then the signs will be attached by the contractor. I know that Mr. Gask has requested the locates for all of those signs. They do take about 2 weeks, so we expect to see something in the next week or so, and then it will be just a matter of getting them mounted on the posts. But we should be able to see some action in the next 2 weeks.
My question goes a little bit deeper. Do all of the signage that we're going to put up require locates?
Yes, well, yes.
Are we not doing some street
We
signage
are
that's
doing-
going on existing poles?
Yes, and those are being done by the contractor, and the new brackets, the brackets that hold the signs have just arrived, just today.
Oh, okay. Now, one last thing that I'm gonna highlight because of the problems that I'm having with it, and that is the official plan review. And the statutory public meeting has been scheduled for 6:30 p.m. on September the 5th. Council attendance is required. It is anticipated that the official plan will be ready for council adoption at the September meeting, and the approval by the county should follow soon after. And my problem with the official plan as of this point in time, and I think I've been fairly consistent at quite a number of meetings talking about this, is that the Cedar Grove Road site does require a rezoning as a provincially significant employment area. And that rezoning has to appear both in our official plan and in the county's official plan, and I understand that. And I know that we're being told, well, we'll pass the plan as it is and we'll submit it as it is. I have two problems, and I hope you can help me with them. The first is that which comes first, the chicken or the egg? The change to the county official plan to designate it as a provincially significant employment area, or the township official plan? That's the first question. And the second question is, if we allow it to go forward, if we allow our official plan to go forward as is without making that designation, and then we're forced at some later date, 2 months, 3 months later, to go through an amendment to our official plan, what is the cost and the time to go through an official amendment to our official plan that basically has just been passed by council? That's my questions, two.
Certainly, Mr. Mayor. An amendment to the official plan in our current fee schedule is $1,500. And if it's something that the municipality is requesting, the cost should not be a great deal more than that. So amending our official plan is a relatively minor thing.
Okay, can I stop you just there before you go on? So I guess we would exempt ourselves from the $1,500.
But that's what it costs.
Yeah.
That's not,
No, but we would still have the cost of a planner,
which would be, that's what I'm saying, $1,500 is about the cost
of the plan.
of the official plan.
Okay, go ahead.
So that's basically what it would cost, $1,500 to $2,000. The cost to amend the official plan of the counties has to be applied for by the counties to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing.
Well, can I stop there for a second? The reason I'm asking that is because I see a correspondence from the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing now delegating to the county the ability to approve their own official plan amendments.
Really?
Yes,
Oh, I was not aware of that.
about a week ago.
Oh, okay, well, that's good news.
Okay, so assuming that I've interpreted that letter correctly,
Yeah.
and the county has the ability to amend their own official plan unilaterally without reference to back to the ministry, what kind of time frame and cost would that be?
I couldn't begin to estimate. I know that the application fee to the ministry was $12,000, but.
12,000.
Yes, but my point is that if it's something that both the lower tier and the upper tier municipalities want, and they can persuade the province to be thinking the same way as them, it's not going to be big dollar expense, and it's not going, especially not if they've got their own approval, it's not going to be big dollar expense, and it's not going to be a long time either. There is very little, I'm going to say no, advantage in holding up our official plan, waiting to find out if we're going to need that site designated.
Okay. All right. So you're saying to the mayor, be comfortable.
Yes, go ahead and pass your OP, and we'll amend it later.
Okay. I have some questions on page 3 of 4, under Spencerville wastewater. And the second paragraph, which is legal advice has been sought and a staff report will be brought forward on September the 16th with respect to a possible solution. I'm assuming that we're waiting for legal advice here, are we?
That is correct.
Okay, and we hope to have that in place with the report by September the 16th. That's at the PW meeting?
That's correct.
Do we, I'll wait until the 16th. On page 2 of 4, I'm curious if you enjoyed your vacation day today. Because when I saw you this morning, you were very busy. Is that September?
No, that's August 29th.
Oh, it's August 29th, okay. Well,
That was wishful thinking on Friday.
no kidding. Okay, well, have a good vacation day. And I think those are my questions with the report. Does anyone else? Oh, I have one more. And that is on page 4 of 4, and I'm a little bit curious here. Because under operations, we're saying the RFP, request for proposals for the new rescue truck, has been issued and closes on September the 10th. Now, I know that that was a hot topic during the budget discussions, and I can't remember how it was left. I know it was not, if I recall correctly, it was not included in the 2019 budget, but
That's correct.
correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's absolutely correct. This is done in anticipation of potentially having to do this work starting in 2020 in order for a 2021 delivery date.
But now, this is the rescue truck, it's not a fire truck.
Mm-hmm.
So, so we're putting out an RFP. Are we anticipating that we're going to act on that RFP prior to the end of this year? Prior to the end of this budget year?
That's a council decision.
Well,
We need
except
it.
for the RFP, I haven't seen the RFP. The terms of the RFP will probably require that the price be guaranteed for a certain number of days or weeks. It closes on September the 10th, which is 4 months to the end of the year. I doubt if an RFP is gonna hold their pricing for 120 days.
Possibly not, but at least then we have a good solid budget number for the,
Yeah, I'm just a bit concerned that it's an RFP, because one of the things that we're learning very quickly is that tender documents and RFP documents hold a certain legal weight.
yeah.
And once you issue them, it starts a legal process.
Tender's more so than a simple request for a proposal. I don't anticipate that this is gonna bind us in any way.
Okay, so you anticipate no binding. Okay, those are my questions. Anybody else have any questions? Councillor Cameron?
Yes, just one, Mr. Mayor, through the chair. Walker Street,
What page?
I'm sorry, page 304, and it's headed up Walker Street, regarding seating, et cetera, and before my favorite citizen of Walker Street calls me one more time, do we have any further discussions regarding that?
Well, I mean, the only thing I can tell you is that we've asked our engineering firm to do their due diligence on contract administration. The contractor has not been paid for that portion of the work, and we're still calling it a deficiency and hoping that they'll get back with some remediation. I understand the problem was that it was hydro-seeded and then never watered. And so
Well,
the seed didn't take.
And it was also, there was also quite a period of time before the hydro seeding took place for things like weeds to get started, but.
Can I interrupt you there just for a second?
Certainly, go ahead, sure, go ahead.
Do we have confirmation that hydro seeding took place?
I believe so, Dave. Yeah.
I saw it,
You saw it?
I saw it,
Okay, go ahead.
yeah. And also, when this other work is done, is there any indication of how this work is going to be done? In question of, are the weeds going to be removed and then hydro-seeded, or are they just gonna be cut down and then hydro-seeded? Or is, by a long shot, is sod gonna be added?
We don't know that yet.
Okay?
Just-
I-
Yeah, we just had an email exchange with the engineering firm today and again last week.
Okay, I would just like to state that when that information is available, would you please let me know? Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
I'd appreciate knowing what the follow-up is gonna be on that too. But I'm gonna express another concern here, and my concern goes something like this. We have spent a considerable amount of money on Walker Street, and enhanced that area in a complete and total way with curbs and pavement to the curbs. And we did lay new topsoil on the residential side of the curb. And I'll take the reports that I've got that it was hydro seeded, but I have been there several times and I'm a bit disappointed that it's in the state that it's in. I would have hoped that some of the residents would have, and I do recognize that the contractor has a requirement to live up to the terms of the contract. I recognize that fact, and his feet should be held to the fire to do so. But at the same time, I'm wondering if we couldn't find some way of enlisting the support of the residents on that street to take an interest in their own lawns. And is there any possibility that we could communicate with them in some way and reassure them that if they cut those weeds, and we'll supply some grass seed, or the contractor will supply some grass seed or reseeding or something, that, you know, hopefully they'll have their lawns back by the end of this growing season. Is there any way we could communicate that and enlist their support here? I'm just afraid that, number one, maybe the contract wasn't tight enough. Number two, maybe there won't be any remediation required from the contractor. And number three, in the end result, it'll come back to the residents anyway. So I'd just like to be a little bit proactive about it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I may, I think that's a good idea. I think that once we have a plan from the contractor, it's a good time to communicate the whole thing. What the plan is, and could you help us out by doing this, and rest assured that we'll do our best to make it look the way it's supposed to look. But if we go to the residents right now, my concern is that they're gonna come right back and say, well, the contractor should be doing that. And we acknowledge that the contractor should be doing that, but in the meantime, there's some things that the residents could be doing. I also noticed when I drove down that street the other day that one of the biggest offenders is the Bell Building, which...
Yes, and that's just a question of a phone call,
Yeah.
really, to tell them to clean up their property, and they won't argue, they'll clean it up.
They'll go and do it.
This item has been hanging fire for quite some period of time. I know Director of Operations, Mr. Grant, has been away for some period of time, but the contract administrator, I believe that's Eastern Engineering,
That's correct.
they've been around and they've been aware of the issue. I'm at a loss to understand why it's so long for us to be getting a report from either Eastern Engineering with a reply from the contractor. The reason I say that is because if the contractor is going to deny liability or deny any responsibility, I mean, I don't want to wait another month while we decide what our options are here.
No, fair enough. And I mean, all I can do is assure you that we will not let it hang any longer than necessary, but we want to make sure that the contractor does what he's been contracted to do. We want to make sure that Eastern Engineering does what it's been contracted to do, and we want to make sure that the street looks good when we're done. So we'll take whatever necessary steps we have to get that.
Okay, so that satisfies my questions with regard to that issue. Councillor Cameron.
Yes, just further to Walker Street, you're absolutely right that the Bell Building is one of the problems, but there really is only one other problem, and I'm sure you know the site, and these people are quite adamant that they should not be doing any work whatsoever. It was pristine, and it was turned over to us to rip it apart, and they feel it should be pristine going back. That's going to be a hard nut to crack, I'm sure, but I will certainly wait for your information. And just one other information about Walker Street, the building at the corner of Adelaide and Walker Street, also known as the Aboriginal Building, is having some work done to it. As we speak, it appears there's a tenant going to be going in there very shortly. So that's been vacant for quite some time, and the sign is now down, and workmen have been in there working away. So I'm sure that will be tenantized very, very shortly, and I'm sure the lawn will be looked after as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. No further questions. I'm about to call the question. Oh, did you, I said I'd offer you an opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of just dates that I wanted to just highlight. One is the cybersecurity training on September 30th. I think everybody has signed up for that, either morning or afternoon session. Statutory public meeting for the OP has already been mentioned. I do have a meeting this week with the 3 South Granville CAOs and the Associated Library Board chairs, to talk some about shared servicing and whether or not there's any efficiencies that can be gained there. So I'm not sure if it's gonna be tomorrow night or Wednesday night, but it's supposed to be one of those two. It's been hard with vacations to try and fit everybody in. Oh, I wanted to also point out that the LED lights, we're putting new LED lights in the Spencerville Arena as per the council budget. And we've worked pretty hard with LAS because they had a grant program, but we can get a local contractor to put better quality fixtures in for less money, even after the grant is received. Well, because they bring their contractor in from Toronto, and it's just of no advantage.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
So you're gonna take the lesser cost?
Absolutely, yeah.
Good.
I said the Cardinal Water Plant berm project would be starting in the next couple of weeks. We got word today that they will be on site September 16th to start that project. And also, I just wanted to point out that this James Riley DeWitt Richter drain problem that Mayor Sayo will be well familiar with, been ongoing for several years now, and it is coming to committee of the whole in October, with a public meeting to follow soon after, and we anticipate having the thing put to bed by January.
Oh my God.
I know, after following all the rules and regulations about notice periods and everything else. Also emergency. Emergency. Sorry?
One of the things there, so when it comes to committee of the whole on October 21, and Robinson Consultants is here, will all of the parties involved be notified of that meeting? I'd like to make sure that they're all here and that there's no miscommunications and that everybody gets the word straight from the Robinson Consultants, which is the drainage engineer of Eastern Ontario.
Yeah, we'll make sure they're aware, but there will be also a public meeting
Yes?
to follow that those folks will also all be invited to.
Yes, okay, thank you.
And then finally, just on emergency management, the emergency control group is scheduled to meet September 16th for the HIRA critical infrastructure and plan review. And then the annual exercise will be held October 16th, and that's gonna be in collaboration with the town of Prescott. We're gonna do a joint tabletop emergency exercise. So it's being managed by Mr. Spencer and Deputy Mayor Deschamps. If you can be available that day, that would be really helpful.
Sorry, what was the date?
October 16th.
Okay, any further items arising from the CAOs?
Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Councilor?
10% for lights with the local, we budget, I think, for 30,000. Spencer Marine, does that make sense?
I think it was around 20,000, and I believe the quote from the local supplier was around 17,000, and LAS came in at just over 18,000, even after the 10%.
Thank you.
Councilor Hunter?
I just have one question I left now. Under the operations for this RFP for the new rescue truck, I thought when we discussed this at our budgetary meeting before this, they were gonna bring back a report to us of the specifications that they're looking for in this truck. I haven't seen any.
No. I think that's the intent of this RFP is to bring back that and the results together so you can see what was asked for and what the costs were.
In other words, you're saying they really don't know what they want, they're just putting it out and letting the contractors put back to them what they're willing to give them?
I believe that the chief put out an RFP for the very most basic truck that he could plan on.
I'm going like the mayor, I don't want to get tied into something here that we're committed to something that's been put out before we've seen it.
I was trying to hint around at that. Yeah. But, okay, the RFP is out now. It'll be back on September the 10th. I think those, we're kind of locked into that now. Any further discussion here? If not, I'm about to call the question on municipal council receives the CAO administrative report as presented. Further discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, now, I'm at council inquiries, notices of motion, and Councillor Cameron, you got your name on the list here.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's regarding the EDR restrictions during the emergency detour routes. I have all the mappage as I think everyone has, but I had gone ahead and got my own, and I will be discussing the situation of somehow closing our main road, I should say our township roads, well, if there is a problem. The problem is only between the Prescott 401 interchange and the Johnstown 401 interchange. So it's the, for the most part, it's the roads in and around that area. Cedar Grove Road being one of them, but I will have a more detailed discussion for you on the 16th at the Public Works Committee meeting.
And I think this comes out of our meeting at the Port Management Committee where we found out the full implications of this EDR closure.
That is correct, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so we'll discuss that at, which meeting is it? It's the PW meeting.
PW meeting.
Okay, and then I'm gonna put an item forward here as well, and my apologies, didn't get it ready till late today, but I'm marking it 13B as a notice of motion. You can all look at it and ruminate over it, and I'm going to put it on the agenda for the Admin Finance Committee meeting, which I think is gonna be September 13th? 9th, September the 9th. And we'll debate it at that time and place. And so then I'm moving on.
I have a.
Okay, sorry.
I guess I could have brought it up under the CAO's report, but under the section where you're getting legal advice on the sewer lines costing private property, I did have a meeting the other day with the owner of this private property. He's very anxious to get this settled because he's going in for surgery right away, and he wondered if we couldn't have a meeting, council sit down and try to work out some kind of arrangement, get this settled right away, so.
If I may, through you, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Hunter, I think it probably would be beneficial if you had all of the information before you sat down with that individual. I have quite a file on it, and if you indulge me an opportunity to create a proper report for you, and have that conversation at the table here on September 16th before you decide.
16th?
Yeah.
You'll have it all then
Yeah.
ready? Okay.
Okay, so then am I moving on? So I'm moving on to item number 14, which is the mayor's report. And I have quite an extensive report here. So the first thing that I want to report on is the CAO's performance review. I'm going to read the report dated August the 26th today. Performance appraisal report, Chief Administrative Officer for the period ended June the 30th, 2019. The Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and the CAO have completed the CAO's annual performance appraisal for the period ended June 30th, 2019, and report as follows. The previous performance appraisal was completed in November 2018, and the current performance appraisal began and ended in July 2019. The CAO has met or exceeded expectations and has been awarded a bonus of 1 grid step increment payable immediately in recognition of the fact that the CAO is presently compensated at grid step 6 at the top of the CAO salary grid, I believe. So I want to congratulate the CAO for the performance appraisal, and this is the report of the committee. The bylaw requires that the mayor and the deputy mayor perform the performance appraisals on the CAO and the port general manager. So this is our report from the CAO, and Deputy Mayor Deschamps and I will be coordinating a date to meet with the port general manager in the near future. And I'll file a copy of that report with both the CAO and the treasurer so that the bonus can be paid out. And so now I'm moving then to the Labor Day and the Spencerville Fair parades. Just a question to council. Sometimes in the past for these two parades, Labor Day and Spencerville Fair, council rode together on a vehicle, other times they each had their individual vehicles. So I know that a number of you have responded to Donna Gladstone about the Labor Day, and I know we've all had invitations to the Spencerville Fair. So I'm just, I'll put it out this way so as not to embarrass anybody, but if anybody wants to ride together with the mayor, I'll find a truck or something, some suitable larger vehicle. But unless I hear from you in the next few days, I'll just proceed to make my own arrangements, and then everybody will be on their own. So I'll just make that offering.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes?
I have a truck for Riverside too, if anybody wants it.
Oh, you do?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and you're issuing that invitation,
Pick that up Friday, yes.
okay?
I'll do that with you.
There's two in that truck.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, did you want staff to make sure you have candy, or are you doing that yourself?
Well, no, in an election year, I bought it myself.
Well, that'd be good.
And boys, it was expensive.
But previously, it was a corporate responsibility, so.
I'll just check with
Yeah.
the facilities manager
Yeah.
to see if he's done.
Do we have any signage or anything that we represent the township?
Yes,
Yeah,
this-
We do?
Yep,
Oh, good.
they're in the deputy clerk's office.
Geez, I was gonna order some, thank you.
And they're magnetic signs that go on the side.
Yeah, well, I was gonna order some tomorrow, so I'm glad you said that, thank you.
All right, and.
And you're paying for the candy too, you said?
I'm about to.
Okay.
Thank
you.
I'm also under the impression that the festival committee is getting rides for us.
Well, that may be.
No, not Spencer, or not Cardinal.
Okay, so I don't want to get into that here. Everybody can either contact me or contact Donna Gladstone. Okay, so I'm going on now with the next item. As you're aware, there have been discussions with the International Joint Commission co-chairs regarding the river flooding on the St. Lawrence River this year. So the last meeting, the two co-chairs of the IJC did promise that there would be a meeting, and I can just inform you that that meeting has been confirmed and will take place in the very near future. Just a quick report from the AMO conference, and I don't want to say a lot, but suffice it to say that we met with representatives from the ministry that's handling the Ontario Job Site Challenge, and also we met with the Minister of Agriculture concerning the land bank farmland and trying to get some of that farmland returned to farmers. The land is under the control of Infrastructure Ontario, and we'll be seeking, we didn't get a meeting in Ottawa with the Minister of Infrastructure Ontario, but we will attempt to get a meeting sometime in the month of September, October. Same issue. I think we have the MPP, Minister Clark, on side. We appear to have Minister Hardeman on side, and now it's a question of getting a few more ministers to bring that loose from the Infrastructure Ontario. On Thursday, August the 29th, the day after getting back from AMO, I did attend the summer company presentations in Brockville and present some certificates. I just want to indicate that I'm still getting requests and concerns, expressions of concerns from individuals with building permit applications, and I'm referring those over to the CAO as I get them. So that basically is my report, and I believe Deputy Mayor Deschamps, you have the motion to approve the mayor's report.
I do. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, that municipal council receives the mayor's report as presented.
Thank you very much. Questions, if any? Hearing none, those in favor? Motion is carried. And so now I'm at item number 15 on the agenda, which is question period. Yes, sir?
One question, Mr. Mayor. In regards to African bronze honey, what is the current zoning of the church and what is the proposed new zoning?
Okay, so through the mayor to the CAO.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The current zoning on that property is institutional, of course, because it was a church. So the application has been made to change it to community commercial, to allow a variety of commercial uses on that parcel. Probably will also need to address some setback issues. You know, old buildings are closer to roads than really needs to be done. That initial conversation about the rezoning will happen at Community Development Committee next week.
So is the do we have an application?
We have an application, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's in the hands of our planning consultant right now, but we expect to be able to have that conversation next week at CBC.
Okay. Okay. And that's it for questions. Okay, so number 16 is a closed session. We have no closed session following the meeting. We had a closed session earlier this afternoon. Item number 17 on the agenda is the confirmatory bylaw. Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Dillabaugh that a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution be now passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2019-50.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any. Those in favor? Motion is carried. And now I believe the chair is looking for the motion to adjourn. And I see that Councillor Hunter, you have that.
Moved myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that the municipal council is now adjourned at 8:12 p.m.
Thank you very much. Those in favor? Aye. Motion is carried.